Alrighty, today we are going to be talking about a fun little topic here as I play some Super Battle Road. Not very important to the video, but we are going to be talking about the best things that Dokkan does in 2024, and we are also going to be talking about the worst things that Dokkan does in 2024. So, down below, before we get started, let me know some of your favorite things about the game, some of your least favorite things about the game. I think it could be an interesting discussion for all of us to have, but let's go ahead and get started, right? The game is now entering basically 9.5 years, which is kind of crazy to say for a mobile game. And I want to preface this by saying, even though I'm going to be talking about a couple negative things in this video, I do really enjoy playing this game. It is a lot of fun to cover it. It's a lot of fun to help you guys out, uploading videos for it and stuff like that. And these things are all solely my opinion. So if you have something on here that maybe you like or dislike, and I say the opposite, not the end of the world. That's just how things go. So let's get started with one of the best things that the game does. In my opinion, one of the best things the game does is properly represent the source material when it comes to dropping animations for these characters, right? When we see some of these animations that they do for major releases especially, but really just across the board, I think they do a very, very good job of, doing almost like one-to-one with the anime or references to the manga. Sometimes it'll be a scene from a video game when you think about a counter like STR Vegito's. If you don't know, that one is from Kakarot and stuff like that, right? I think that they do a very good job of representing the source material, giving you something to be excited about for a character where perhaps a character you're not that excited to summon for has really good animations that might sway you one way or another. And that is obviously going to be a good thing when it comes to a game like this, right? The animations are almost always, as good as they could possibly get, and that is a super good thing because it just overall makes the quality of the game better, and especially when you know it's like a character that you've really been wanting, and when you see that it's finally coming, for example, like a, I don't know, if we just look at like the most recent example, right? Somebody like the LR Ginyu Force or LR Beast Gohan and stuff like that. We just think about characters that have a lot of resources like the Ginyu Force, and then a character that doesn't have a ton of resources like Beast Gohan. They find unique ways to make them look super nice and stuff like that, with Beast Gohan kind of having like a reference to the BoJack movie and stuff like that. It's a super cool thing that they do, and I think that is something that is important going forward. Well, maybe not even important going forward, but something that they always tend to deliver with, right? Just having really good animations that you're going to make you want to summon for these characters and collect them, because not only usually are the characters pretty damn good, they also look very good as well. So that's the first thing. I think properly giving the source material justice is one of the best things the game does. Let's move on to a negative, because for every positive, we're going to be doing a negative. Now, the first negative I think that this game has is they don't really, sometimes they will go extremely long periods without addressing certain categories, certain characters, and when they do that, it kind of creates this demand and expectation for the character that comes out to be super, super well done, and when they're not super, super well done, it can be extremely frustrating for somebody that's been waiting for a super long time for that character, right? I think one example would be somebody like Tech Bardock, right? Tech Bardock is a character like a Dokkan Fest that people probably wanted for a long time. Bardock from, the first original special that he had. Bardock is obviously a fan favorite character. Very nice animations, all of that fun stuff. But the issue is the character wasn't really all that good. And when that happens, it can be frustrating, because when the character isn't up to like expectations and stuff like that, somebody that's waited years for a new Dokkan Fest Bardock. In this case, it was, I believe, he came out when 2022. So people had to wait about 2.5, almost 3 years for another Bardock. And when they got another Bardock, he was barely even usable in the endgame content, and that can be very frustrating, right? There's a bunch of examples. Like we just talked about, like teams that never get buffs. You think about teams like Otherworld Warriors, Majin Power for a really long time before we had this recent celebration that just completely revived it. It's super bosses for a period of time where it was kind of frustrating. It's like, what in the world are we doing? Universe 6 for a while. There's a lot of categories in this game that really just did not get touched for a long time, and I know I'm missing a couple. One that I could think of off the top of my head that gets like buffs but not consistently is like the Wicked Bloodline. So if you're somebody that's like a fan of the Frieza family, right, and stuff like that, a pretty good chance that you're not going to be seeing updates for that one very often because it's a very Saiyan-centric game, right? If you're somebody that likes the Goku family team, you're going to be getting buffs a lot of the time, so congratulations. But if you're somebody that's like, you know, a villain guy and stuff like that, there is a decent chance that you're not going to be seeing releases for your character, your favorite characters that often, and that can be a bit frustrating. So that is something to keep in mind. That is one of the worst things they do. I think that they ignore categories and certain characters for a very long time, and it can be frustrating if you're a fan and you want to have representation for that character. So that's going to be one of the worst things they do, and let's go ahead and move on to another good thing that they do, and that is deliver during the big celebrations that they know a lot of people are going to be coming back for. I think that this is something that can be a little bit overlooked at times, but when it is time for Dokkan to show with these big celebrations like the anniversary, like the worldwide download celebration, like Saiyan Day, Golden Week, especially over the last couple of years, they really kind of bring their A game, right? Where we're talking 4 summonable LRs, a lot of Easy As for like yearly anniversary units, crazy major Easy As, right? We're talking worldwide download celebration units, anniversary LRs, characters that we've been waiting for their Easy As for a very long time. And, you know, that is something that they do very well. They give out, they're very generous during these celebrations with the stones that they give out. They're very generous with the free LRs that you could potentially get. In this case, during the 9th anniversary, they give you a huge multi that gives you a very good chance to pull the anniversary LR that you want. And I think that is something that is super, super generous, right? I love when they do that, and they give a lot of engaging content during these celebrations. It's a really, usually they do just a stand-up job with it, right? Where it's a super fun time, and the anniversary has like everybody hyped and stuff like that. And all in all, it just makes things a really good time. Now, to kind of tie that together, I'm not going to be talking about that one as long, but to kind of tie that with one of the worst things that they do, I feel like often during these big celebrations, they tend to have a bad habit of, I should have went for the physical orbs right there, but they tend to have a bad habit of spacing the content out in usually not the best way, right? Like, we'll find ourselves during like these major celebrations going like a week or something, or like a week and a half, it feels like almost, where it's like, well, what are we doing? Like, we know part 2 is coming or something like that, but it's like, where's the stuff to hold this over, right? I know a lot of players like to take the content that the game gives out, get it done the first night that it comes out, and we'll be stuck with like, you know, 6 to 7 days with nothing to do. And that often can be frustrating, but you know, oftentimes they'll do like a big batch of stuff to do. The game will drop like a big batch of thick content to do, and you'll be like, well, why couldn't we kind of like just space this out over every few days instead of it being just like one bin? It's like they drop things in like these television services or these streaming services do now, right? Where it's like you get to binge them towards in like one thing rather than, you know, going like every week or every couple days. It can be a little bit frustrating at times, but you know, I don't think it's the end of the world. Now, another thing I think that they do really well is the guaranteed SSR with a multi-summon. I think that this is something that sometimes can be a little bit underappreciated, but I think this is something that's actually very, very generous, right? Yeah, I know, sometimes you're gonna get, you know, who's an example of like a unit, it's like, I don't know, Tech Super Saiyan Vegeta from 2015, right, as your guaranteed SSR on that multi. But I think that this is something that can't go underappreciated, right? If you've played other gacha games, I'm sure this has happened to you where, you know, you busted your ass to grind that multi, and you didn't even get like a chance at like a Sparking in Legends, or a 5-star in Genshin Impact, or Star Rail or something like that. This game, every multi that you're doing, you're going to have a chance at that SSR, right? And I think that that's something that over time you will come to appreciate, because every multi, especially when you're a newer player, right? I think that this is going to be something that is super helpful for you, right? Because it's just, there's a chance that you're going to be getting value no matter how you split it, right? This is something that's very good for the game. And it's something that I think it would just with time people will appreciate, right? Because that is something that I don't take for granted, because I do know I've played these other games that potentially don't have that system, and it can be very frustrating. So that is just one thing, right? Now, staying on the topic of summoning, this is one of the worst things they've done, and it's the amount of time that it took, and continuing for the lack of a true pity system, right? Now, we have it in the game now, so this is a step in the right direction, but I don't think it's all the way there yet. I believe that the pity system still needs a little bit of work. I think that 1,000 stones for a copy of the character, that's a really good number, right? 1,000 stones, like if this was for like a Dokkan Festival exclusive LR that you wanted or a Carnival LR that you wanted, this is a manageable number that a free-to-play player could save for a few months and be able to obtain, right? Especially if they are someone that's been playing for a long time and is able to have some rainbow units that they can exchange for coins within the shop, right? I think that this is a step in the right direction. However, I don't think it's perfect. I think that this being a only for yellow coin LRs, which have inherently are very bad value banners, being the only way to get to pity, is not good, because like these are just characters that you shouldn't be chasing anyway because the banner's value is not very good. Now, if that means they have to increase the number for a Dokkan Festival exclusive LR, I think that is a price worth paying, because a true pity system makes life so much easier in these gacha games when you know that if you grind to a certain point, you're going to be able to get the character, right? How bad is it to save for months for an anniversary, or, you know, I don't recommend you do this, but you spend a lot of money and you don't get the character that you're after. And it's like, especially a game like this where it's PvE and you just want to collect the character, and if you're willing to spend a lot of money to get the character, I think you should be able to have them in a game like this where you're not really impacting anybody's game experience by getting this character after a certain amount of stones, right? I don't think that that's going to negatively impact anybody else unless you're just like, you know, being a pest on like social media bragging about it, right? But yeah, I think a pity system is something that they clearly have acknowledged, and I can at least appreciate that, but I just don't think it is quite all the way there yet, right? And the last thing, I think the best thing that they do in this game, or one of the best things that they do, is make the difficult content really fun and engaging, right? If we just go and look at this list, this will be the last thing before we get out of here. One of the things they do really well is the difficult content now. I think that sometimes a stage can be underwhelming, and it's been really fun as someone who's been playing for about the last 4.5 years or so, just to see the evolution of the difficult content, right? Going back all the way to, I can't go back and speak on like the Dokkan events back in the day, like when they used to be 50 stamina and super hard. That just wasn't my time. But if we look at stuff like the Goku event, going into the GT Goku event, going back into the God event during the 6-year anniversary, the Vegeta event was super fun, right? The Frieza event that just came out recently. Maybe if you're someone that's an OG, Boss Rush. We have the Extreme Z areas are a whole nother topic, right? These were controversial when they came out. There's a lot of them now. We have Prime battles that are fun for farming, but not really difficult. We had Infinite Dragon Ball History during Worldwide 2019 that came out. The collection of epic battles is super cool. Super Battle Road's been around for a super long time. Extreme Super Battle Road. All of these fights, the Red Zone, all of these fights that I'm going through that are difficult, all offer different and unique challenges that present you to have to think, that present a different set of units that you have to use, a different setup of teams. You have to consider type advantage, you have to consider gimmicks, you have to consider characters that can do debuffs, characters that might have a specific niche and guaranteed things against certain enemies. I think that this is one of the best things the game does to keep it engaging, and now, especially now that we're 9.5 years in, there is so much variety in the difficult content and so many different stages that you can do that you can be entertained for hours, right? I tried to stream this, and like 5.5 hours in, I wasn't even close to finishing all of the difficult fights in the game. So that's all I got for you. Some of the best and some of the worst things that they do in Dokkan in 2024. Let me know down below what you guys think. Did I miss anything? I guess one thing I could say is new mechanics that units are bringing to the table during like major celebrations and stuff like that as well is one of the best things that they do. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you did enjoy today's video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you are new, and turn on notifications as well so you don't miss out on any of my Dokkan content. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.